So last time I gave you a bit of a tour around the new build house that we ended up buying, and I haven't quite got into discussing some of the pros and cons of new builds yet. I was going to do that this week, but procrastination is my middle name, and a couple of people asked about how I did the garden, and I figured that might make quite an interesting video. Hiya folks, welcome back. I hope you're all doing very well and surviving this very strange year that we're having so far. Let's get back to a bit of normality and just chat about what's involved in turning what effectively was a pile of building rubble into a garden in a new build, because anyone buying a new build house is going to have to do this. You're either going to have to pay the builder to do it, or you're going to have to do it yourself, or you're going to have to pay a proper company to come in and do it. And in my experience, I wouldn't advise doing the first option, because every house that I've seen where the builder's done it have literally just chucked grass on top of the building rubble, and it's not great. So we went down the route of doing the work ourselves, and it's hard work, but we did it straight away. We figured if we leave it for too long, we'll never get it done, and the sooner the plants can start maturing, the better, because plants grow, and you can save a lot of money by putting young plants in the ground and just waiting for them to grow than if you go out and buy great big mature plants. So the sooner we could get this done, the better. So before I start, I am no gardener. Please don't take anything I'm telling you here as gospel of something you should do. It's just the way I decided to do it. Please correct me in the comments if there's stuff that you would have done differently if you are a professional gardener. I can only apologise, but I do, I'm a big fan of Monty Don and a bit of Gardener's World and all that sort of thing. I do enjoy a bit of amateur gardening, but it's not the sort of thing I would do for customers or anything like that. So, this is effectively how the garden started off life. It was just builder's rubble. It wasn't level in any way whatsoever. It had quite a major slope down towards the garage area and also towards the house as well. The whole thing was sloping towards the house, which is not particularly what you want. There was one tree that came with the garden. If you're not already aware of that tree, I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on, because there's a story to that. But it is kind of a cherry tree of some description that came with the garden. And other than that, it's just poor quality, very heavy soil mixed in with stones and rocks and things. And as you've seen on the very first picture, that is literally just chucked down on top of the dolomite, on top of the sub-base that is on pretty much all building sites. And there's a question I meant to ask you guys. Does everyone call the yellow sub-base dolomite, or is that just a thing up here? Let me know in the comments. So I did put together a bit of a plan just on Visio or whatever as to what we wanted this to look like. This was pre-SketchUp days for me, but I'll just kind of scribble it on here. I wanted a chill out area over on the right hand side here, where we could just put a patio table and table and chairs and whatnot. I wanted to screen that off a little bit from this bed that was going to go in the corner here where the tree is, so I wanted a bit of a kind of screen area up here. Obviously wanted to make use of as much lawn area as possible, and actually that was based on the size of a bouncy castle thing that we had at the time, so we wanted this whole area to be lawn, and it just had to be big enough to hold our inflatable bouncy castle for the kids. And then over on the left here towards the garage, what I wanted to do was to basically wall that off, or divide the garden off, and have an area for a shed up the top here, and also an area for wheelie bins, compost heap and all that sort of thing. So this would be shielded from the rest of the garden, and that would just be planted up with various pyrocanthia and laurel and all sorts of other things, just to act as a bit of a hedge between that side and over here. It's worth mentioning all gardens should have a compost heap. I don't care how small they are. In the 7 years we were in this property, we never once had to put lawn clippings in the bin. The compost heap happily ate them all and gave us free soil at the end of it. And then I wanted a little kind of sloping gravel path to take you up from this area up to the garden area, and then everything else just needs to be planted out. So that was the plan. One important thing to remember if you're ever doing your own garden is that you don't really want to have the lawn sloping down towards your house. So my aim in all of this was to have the lawn level from left to right, and then with a very slight slope away from the house. It doesn't have to be like a crazy slope, it's just a very slight slope so that water tends to run more to the back of the garden than to the front of the garden. It is important that you do level the lawn area as much as you can, because you'll run into all sorts of problems otherwise where water will drain down to one point and you'll have one really mossy, soggy area of the garden, whereas if you level it as much as possible, water tends to kind of drain away through the lawn itself much more evenly. So it's worth doing, but the builder ain't going to do that for you. You're going to have to do that yourself. So I used these paving stones here as a kind of reference point of how high I want everything to be, because we wanted the lawn to come up to basically the level of these paving slabs. So that was kind of our reference height that we were working off. And as I say, we wanted to be level top to bottom in this picture and then sloping away from the house very slightly. So the first thing I started off with was the mammoth task of working out kind of how much we were going to have to level things. So I've got some pegs in the ground just up here. These pegs are at the same height as the paving slabs, so I've just used this great big bit of wood and a spirit level to try and get these pegs at the same height. And then obviously we need to set a reference going from this side of the garden over to this side of the garden, and that wants to be level left to right. So again, I just did that using pegs, and then I attached some boards onto the pegs so I could use that as a reference, kind of working my way across the garden. So this section is all leveled out. All of the stones and everything that I'm digging out I'm putting to one side, because I will use those later on, but I don't want them too much as part of the actual lawn itself, because they do tend to work their way up to the surface. And all I did, I kind of split the garden into thirds. So I did that first section, you can see over on the right there, I did that all level, and then added more marker pegs along this side here and more boards attached to that, and then I leveled between that section. Again, I'm always dropping it a little bit so it's sloping downwards away from the house. So this is slightly lower than the paving slabs. These boards here are slightly lower than these boards. You can't see it when you look at the garden, but it's enough that it means that the water isn't pooling up towards the door. Back-breaking work this, because there's a lot of soil to move around, but you can see how I'm doing it. I'm just basically using this board here, working my way along, and yeah, lots of wheelbarrows full of soil. In the meantime, I had quite a lot of soil to dig out over on the left-hand side next to the garage, because as you can probably quite clearly see, the way that the builders had just dumped the soil in was bridging the damp-proof course on the garage. So you don't want your soil going anywhere near the damp-proof course, so you want it to be at least lower than that, otherwise you're going to have no end of problems of damp coming into the garage and things. I just used some spare gravel to mark out where I want the footpath to be going, because I want this little kind of slopey path coming up to the grass area from this lower section down here. And you can see where I've pegged everything out and just stringing pegs basically to get everything to the correct levels. So working on this section down next to the garage here, as I say, you can kind of see what I'm planning on doing here. So we're going to kind of board it off down this line here where we've got the string line, and then it's going to come in a little bit and then go all the way off to the back there. So one of the problems that I had here is that I knew I've got a lot of soil to remove from here, but I've got nowhere to put it. But I knew that I'm going to have flower beds coming all the way up this little right-hand side section here, so I could use all of that as backfill for these flower beds, but I can't do that until I've got the posts in that hold this, that basically make this bed. So it was time to get all these posts in. You can get a much better idea here of what's going on. So we've got the little path coming up at the bottom here, little holes for the posts along here, and you can see I'm up to this section here of leveling, but I've run out of room to put any more soil. So that's the posts just going in. I'm just using scraps of timber to keep them level while the concrete sets. And in the meantime, we've got our big delivery of log roll and whatnot. Log roll, big mistake. Don't do that. The log roll was terrible. I'll come back to that later on. So So the little wooden retaining wall is now in. I just used treated deck joists for that and it seemed to do the job fine. What I didn't want is for wet soil to be resting against the bottom joist, because that is generally going to be where water's going to collect. So I did put a damp-proof membrane over that bottom joist just to protect it a little bit. You can kind of see it here. Obviously, once it was all done, I just chopped off that little bit that's sticking through the edge there. I figured if anything is going to rot, it's going to be this bottom board. So anything I can do to try and protect that bottom board, the better. And then obviously, once that was all in, I could backfill and take a lot of the material out of this left-hand side section and move it into this little gap here where it's all going to be flower beds all the way around. The log roll, in all honesty, was a bit of a disaster. I'll not be buying log roll ever again as far as I'm concerned, because it came with, I think it was a 20-year anti-rot guarantee, and within 5 years it had all rotted away to, or most of it had just rotted away to nothing. It was absolutely terrible. I was really disappointed with the log roll. Every other bit of timber was absolutely fine, but the log roll, I wasn't impressed at all. It was a lot of work to put it in, and yeah, there probably would have been easier things that would have lasted a lot longer. Anyway, in this picture you can see I've finally leveled the top section, the final third of the garden there. So I've just kind of leveled that, moved all the excess soil into the beds that I've now created. We've just got the last sections of log roll to put all the way around these top sections of garden here. And this is where I was saying last time that a lot of the soil, I mean here, it's less than 100 mil before you're hitting the sub base underneath. It was not great, so there's only so much you can dig out, but the lawn will be alright on top of that. It's not the end of the world, but yeah, I wasn't particularly impressed by that. So the final stages of all of this, when you've been working on an area like this for, well, it was probably coming on for a couple of months now that I've been working on this in between doing other jobs, and this has just turned into almost solid concrete. The heavy clay soil, as soon as it's rained a few times, it gets so hard, so the whole garden had to be dug. Even though it was all level now, I had to dig over the whole lot. I did it all by hand with a fork. In hindsight, I probably should have hired some sort of machine, but yeah, such is life. It's a good workout. And by the way, on this picture, I've just mixed in a bit of like grass clippings and things just to add a bit of organic material to the soil, really, because the soil was so heavy, it just needed a little bit of something added to it to try and break it up a little bit. So I had some grass clippings from the front lawn and I've just mixed that in with it. So obviously after all that, it's worth just doing another very quick level of everything to check everything, you haven't got any kind of high spots and low spots. I then mixed in a bunch of sharp sand just to help with drainage a little bit, and then that gave a really nice top layer of soil ready for putting the turf on. Within 1 or 2 weeks it had taken root and you could easily stand on it, it wasn't causing any problems. And that's kind of the structure of the garden all more or less done. We've got all the gravel in, we've got the beds ready for planting, and the grass is in as well. So it was now time to buy some plants, and we bought quite a lot of plants, but none of them are particularly huge plants. I think it cost less than 200 quid for all of the plants to do this garden. First stage when you're planting out a garden like this is always to just place the pots around and work out roughly where you're going to be putting everything, and then as if by magic, then you plant it all. And by the way, pay attention to this little cordyline palm plant at the back of the garden here, this tiny little one that's barely a foot tall. I'll show you that later on and what that turned into.
Hey, you're good at making me lose my mind, but I always come around, don't I?
So the fun bit for me is just waiting for all the plants to grow, and you kind of see over time what your effort has turned into. We've got this lovely clematis plant over the back fence here just to disguise the fence and wall, really. That flowers every kind of May, June time and looks really nice. The cherry tree had to go a journey because it got so big that it shaded the garden. I mean, the sun comes in over this fence basically. So the last thing that you want is a great big tree just here, because it shades the one area of the garden that you don't want any shade, basically. But here's that corderline I was telling you about before. That started off a foot tall. This picture is taken about 4 years later, I think.
We're like the waves on a big blue stormy sea.
I ended up having to put like a wooden divide along this edge here. I just attached it onto the little dividing wall thing at the bottom. And that was just to give a bit of a framework for the pyracantha and the laurel to grow against, because the laurel, it was huge. By the time we actually left this property, it was probably about 4 meters tall or something. It was massive. So in order to keep a nice neat area down here that you could walk down and not get attacked by bugs and massive bushes and things, because the pyracantha is really spiky as well, if you're not aware, I just built this kind of little thing here to just act as a bit of a divide between this side of the garden and the kind of utility side. Again, this is a picture now after probably 6 years in the property, and then 7 years down the line. As I say, the cordeline's hard to see in that picture, but it's probably coming on for 3 meters tall at this point. Unfortunately, that'll probably end up having to go a journey at some point if it ends up shading the garden too much, but it wasn't quite as bad as the tree. But the tree, it didn't go to waste. And by the way, I don't know if you can see these little red bushes down the bottom here. That is the tree regrowing by itself. That is the cherry tree turning into another whole bunch of cherry trees, just growing from the roots where I cut it off. Yeah, nature, it's amazing. But that cherry tree turned into key rings that I made for Maker Central back in 2017. Was it 2017? I think it was. Anyway, and I've got 3 of them left over from that, and yeah, they're on the Gosforth Handyman shop at the minute, so they're probably going to sell quite quickly. But if you want to grab a little keyring made out of that cherry tree that's at the back of the garden there, then visit gosforthhandyman.com/shop and you can pick up a cherry tree keyring made from my old cherry tree at the back of the garden there. That's it, folks. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments. Don't use the way that I've done things as gospel for the way that you should do things. It's just I kind of worked things out as I went along, and it seemed to work pretty well. The lawn was always happy, and the plants were happy, and it was a really nice chilled out area, and we loved it. It was great. By the way, I just wanted to let you know as well, I was kind of for a little while putting videos out on a schedule of on a Sunday afternoon. It seemed to be working better for the channel. YouTube randomness, don't get us started on all that. It seemed to be working better for the channel putting stuff out on a Sunday, but as per usual, I've changed my mind again. I'm just going to put videos out when they're ready. Hence this going out on a Friday. I think you guys just watch when you've got time to watch, and you know, I've been on a schedule before and it never seemed to make much difference, and I thought I would try it again as a bit of an experiment, and it didn't really make any difference this time either. So at the end of the day, there's nearly 300 videos on this channel, plus probably 40-ish on the Member Zone, if you want to go and check the Member Zone out, job pricing videos and all that sort of thing. Then it would be awesome to have you on board as a member over there and come and have a chat on the members forum and things like that. In the meantime, folks, have a wonderful weekend. Take care. If you've got any questions, anything you want us to cover on future videos about new builds, let us know in the comments. Look after yourselves, and I shall see you next time. Tatty bye!